Clear skin is really expensive, and it wasn't until I tried to do this that really hit me upside the face. An acne skincare routine for those who are going back to school that's less than $50. This is how I would attempt it. So here's the problem. Teenage acne is different than adult acne. Although acne is made up of the same components of bacteria, a plug, oil production, and inflammation in the skin, unfortunately, teenage bodies and high school and college bodies go through different changes than those who are dealing with hormonal or adult breakouts. Teenage acne is different than adult acne, and teenage money is different than adult money. So for high school and college students who are struggling with acne, what are you supposed to use that's under $50? This was a major challenge that I'm very happy to be working with Crown on, but it was a lot harder than I initially thought. Especially because I tried to educate and I know what goes into some of these ingredients, and I want to make sure that these are safe for skin, and also the ingredients play well together, because sometimes you can't mix certain ingredients or certain actives. But I was able to do it for just under $50, and I have a couple of recommendations for modifications in case you're extra worried about wrinkles, about pigmentation, or some other issues. Back to school and college can correlate with acne because of stress of both studying and new people, and also new environments such as new food, new living space, etc. And especially young skin usually has more oil production within the T-zone. Hormones have a huge role in the impact of how our skin produces oil, and therefore what the bacteria feeds on and how acne forms. So when you're treating college students or teenage skin versus an adult breakout, you really want to make sure that you're looking at some of these specific triggers and trying your best to use products that will work with them. Additionally, younger skin is a little bit more resilient. You still have to look for things like sun protection, and you still want to try to use things that have healthy actives for the skin. But you can get away with treating skin a little bit more aggressively, especially because in your younger years, you don't know how the skin is going to scar, and you want to do everything you can to stop that from happening. So again, targeting the T-zone, dealing with these specific issues of stress and hormones, and doing your best to prevent in an aggressive manner. So those three problems in mind, this is the solution that I came up with. And I'm happy to say that this not only contains your acne cleanser and toner and moisturizer, but I also was able to fit in the spot treatment as well as some additional treatments and an SPF option, which, oh my god, finding an SPF that is inexpensive and safe for acne-prone skin? This was damn near impossible, okay? Of course, the first thing you want to do is start off with a cleanser. And the purpose of a cleanser is to cleanse the skin, to remove dirt and oil that could build up throughout the day. But for those with acne, you want to treat existing breakouts and also try to get into the skin and make sure that you're mitigating the potential of acne to flare up. Benzoyl peroxide has been around for quite some time, but new technology has made it more accessible to the skin and penetrate deeper. So specifically, the way benzoyl peroxide works is that there's a bond inside of it, and when it comes into contact with heat, aka your face, that bond breaks. When it does, it releases a little radical, and that free radical can go into your skin and kill bacteria. The P. acnes bacteria is the bacteria within our skin's natural flora that overproduces. And when it does that, we get breakouts, especially because this bacteria eats oil. And if you have acne-prone skin, you probably know the oil struggle. Benzoyl peroxide kills that bacteria, but it also works to help degrease the skin. So it does work against that oil, and it's also keratolytic, meaning it's mildly exfoliating. So the plug that is also a characteristic part of breakouts that keeps everything inside of the skin gets broken down by benzoyl peroxide, and the top little layers slough off into the atmosphere so that your face can breathe. Now, benzoyl peroxide can be intense, and when I was younger, I used to use benzoyl peroxide products. I would go to sleep, I would wake up with my pillow all nasty, my skin would be dry and patchy in some areas, but it would still be oily in others. And thank God, in the 10 years since I was struggling with acne in high school to where I am now, things have come a long way. This is specifically the Panoxyl Acne Creamy Wash. At the drugstore, it's about $10, and there's a 4% as well as the 10%. 10% is as potent as you can get. If it's super oily, you may want to consider the 10 because the oiliness of your skin can probably handle it. But if you have more combination skin, or if you've ever experienced dryness, the 4% is a little bit gentler, although it's still effective. And because benzoyl peroxide can be drying in general, short-term therapy is generally better than long-term therapy. Meaning if you use benzoyl peroxide in a wash like this one, it's less intense than something that stays on your skin all day. Additionally, because staining of benzoyl peroxide was such a huge issue for me, using it in a cleanser is a little bit better, so you're not going to sleep and having a cream or a moisturizer that this is slathered onto a pillow with and stains your bed sheets. This, you put it on, you lather it up, you wash for about 30 seconds to a minute and a half, and then you rinse it off. And that way, it never comes in contact with your pillowcase or your favorite t-shirt. Speaking of staining your t-shirts or your clothes, if you do suffer with body acne because you're an athlete or you're just like me and the skin on your back decides to not be very nice to you, you can use this in the shower as a body treatment as well, so you don't need to go out and purchase something separate for the management of body acne. The other thing is that benzoyl peroxide is an ingredient that does play well with other ingredients, such as retinol and salicylic acid, which I've got some options for you a little bit later in this routine. What I also like about this specific Panoxyl formula is that it has glycolic and lactic acids. These are AHA acids, meaning alpha hydroxy acids. They're water soluble and mildly exfoliating. So again, that plug that sits on top of the skin can help exfoliate off, especially for stressed skin. And for oily skin, these can do wonders. Glycolic acid also has a super tiny molecule, so it penetrates really deep. And guess what? In the 4% Panoxyl formula and the 10%, they act as carrier molecules, meaning they can take this benzoyl peroxide deeper into the pore and help it get down to where it needs to be to kill out some of that P. acnes bacteria. This one also seemed like a good option at the drugstore because it's formulated to be gentle on skin. It has 3 different humectants and moisturizers. And on top of that, it's pH balanced, meaning it works with the natural acidity of your skin. It was something like the #1 acne therapy within the US, and dermatologists recommended, not just tested, because again, you could hand this to a dermatologist and they could chuck it against the wall because they hated it. But they still tested it. This one is actually recommended. And the other thing is that it was $10, so it fit within the budget of the skincare routine. You can use this both day and night if you need, but of course, if you have a dermatologist or esthetician, it's always a good idea to ask them specifically about your skin to understand how this plays into your routine and how often you should use it, and if you should build up over time or just jump right in. Speaking of jumping right in, you then want to go into your toner. The purpose of a toner is to balance out the skin and help future products penetrate deeper. Benzoyl peroxide and glycolic acid do work really well for blackheads, and this is kind of like an added boost. This has witch hazel along with some glycolic acid, which can really help that area of the nose. And again, glycolic acid does help this penetrate deeper. This does have witch hazel, aloe vera, niacinamide, and lactic acid, and again, all of those play very well with benzoyl peroxide, so this is perfect to follow up with. Now, one quick note is that this does have alcohol and fragrance, so if your skin is super sensitive, you might want to skip this step. But younger skin can generally tolerate it, and if you need a toner, Amazon's got it for only $7.99. Dispense them out in a little cotton swab and wipe down those oily T-zone areas. It's a mattifying toner that has shine control, and it removes excess oil and rebalances skin's pH. So for the cost of a Starbucks, you and your shine-free nose can thank me. Next, let's talk about serums. These are fantastic boosts to a skincare routine, as long as you're using one that works with your other ingredients. I see a lot of people making the mistake of adding a serum to their routine, but it has ingredients in it that don't play well with the other things they're using, which on a scale of who cares to oh no, it could start off with just not doing anything, and then on the bad side, it could potentially mean making your other products work less effectively, or even causing drying, damage, or pigmentation to the skin. So to keep it safe, this is from The Ordinary. This is the salicylic acid at 2%, which is the highest you can get over the counter. And salicylic acid, again, plays really well with benzoyl peroxide as well as witch hazel and some of these other ingredients. Salicylic acid is commonly used in acne products, but it does work differently than benzoyl peroxide. And the reason why is because salicylic acid is a BHA acid, meaning beta hydroxy acid. It actually works to exfoliate the top layers of the skin, and it's mildly anti-inflammatory. So if you have pimples that are really painful and really swollen and red, this is the stuff that can help. On top of that, salicylic acid is actually related to aspirin, the painkiller. So that's how this kind of stuff works. And because it's from The Ordinary, it only costs $5.30. That's literally less than bridge toll here in the Bay Area. Now, as an option, if you don't like salicylic acid or if it hasn't worked with you in the past, I do want to give you a secondary recommendation. This is also from The Ordinary, but this is the Granacctive Retinoid at 2%. This is also better if you do have more adult skin, if you have adult breakouts, or if you're worried about wrinkles or pigmentation, specifically if acne leaves behind very red or pink or purple marks. This is the one you might want to go with. Now this one's a little bit more expensive. This one is $10, so it didn't totally fit into the routine, which is why I do recommend this one. But if you needed an extra option, retinol is amazing. It works inside of the pores as well. It's mildly exfoliating, and it does help to kind of plump up the skin too. So if you do need to switch things around because you do have more mature skin or you're prone to pigmentation, keep this one in mind. Then it's time for the spot treatment. This one has been a favorite for about 2 years for me, and it plays so perfectly into this routine. This spot treatment is the Blemish Bully from Tarte Cosmetics. It has caffeine, it has azelaic acid, and it has niacinamide. Azelaic acid is nice and exfoliating, caffeine is rejuvenating to the skin, and niacinamide is a B vitamin that can help with regulation of the skin, can also help with a little bit of those breakouts, and can help to balance the skin out and even give a little bit of a glow. Now the biggest issue that I have with most spot treatments is that they're drying. And they're effective, but they're drying. And if you're already using a cleanser that has benzoyl peroxide, and some of these other serums and a toner that's got some of these other acids, you don't need another drying spot treatment. You might as well use the 10% and just spot that onto certain areas and leave it on. This is fantastic because it's the only spot treatment that I've really found that is non-drying. And if you're looking for a non-drying option, this is it. You take out a little pea-sized amount, you put it on the areas, and it works on those blemishes without staining your pillow and without drying the crap out of your skin. It's $16 at Sephora, so it's a little bit more expensive, but in my opinion, it is worth it. And if you want to skip it, you totally can. And from there, we can go on to moisturizers. Now this was arguably one of the hardest parts of this under $50 challenge, specifically because A, moisturizers are expensive, B, sunscreens are expensive, and if you have skin, which I certainly hope you do, you should be using a sunscreen every single day. It's also really hard to find active sunscreen ingredients that are non-reactive with acne-prone skin, and especially with all of the current sunscreen information that's come out, it's hard to find certain ones that are seen as safe, but I was able to do it. And again, this is a huge struggle bus because sunscreens are not generally formulated for acne-prone skin in mind. And although these were not formulated for acne-prone skin, these do work well. So this is what I would recommend. This is $8 to $9 on Amazon, or where I got mine, it's CVS. And this is the Mineral Lotion Non-Greasy from Australian Gold SPF 50. Now this is an SPF, but this is why I always want you to turn and learn your products. It actually works as a moisturizer. When we look at some of the ingredients, the first one is alumina, and then we've got shea butter. Shea butter is super hydrating to the skin, and it generally works well for those who have acne. It does have some dimethicone in here, so keep that in mind, but dimethicone is used in a lot of prescription acne products, and in most of the medical studies it's shown to not be a problem. Now this is great because it's basically a hydrating moisture that happens to provide that SPF 50. And especially if you're in class, you probably don't have time to reapply your sunscreen all day, which is what you're technically supposed to do. So this SPF 50 will last. It's also great if you're an athlete, and it shouldn't cause irritation to the skin because it's also free of different fragrances, it's hypoallergenic, it's PABA free, it's phthalate free, dermatologist tested, pediatrician tested, reef friendly, and of course no animal testing. It's also got some antioxidants in there, which again can help with the sun. So again, a moisturizer plus an SPF. Prevention is always easier than treatment. If for some reason you don't want SPF 50 and you find that this is too hydrating for you, we do have another lightweight option. This is the Enrich moisturizer with SPF 15 from Trader Joe's. It comes in at $3.99, and this is fragrance free for all skin types, light, non-greasy, so again, it shouldn't cause some of those issues. It also has some enriched vitamins such as A, C, and E, and it states here that it doesn't clog pores. Now, that sounds great for acne-prone skin, but remember, you should always turn around the label just to confirm. And one thing I do want to mention is that even though this is a lighter feeling moisturizer, it is not a purely mineral SPF. This does have a chemical UV filter. I personally don't like chemical sunscreens, I only like mineral sunscreens. That is what I have found works best for my skin. But the best sunscreen for you is the one you're going to use, and this moisturizer happens to have a combination. So this has octinoxate at 6% and zinc oxide at 3%. So again, not purely mineral, but still a really good choice. And if you find that this is just too thick for you, or you're not an athlete and you're not in the sun all that much, this might be that better option. And what's really great about this is that the first ingredient is allantoin. This is fantastic, and for people who have eczema or rosacea, it can be really hard to find products that sit well on the skin that don't cause flare-ups. And often acne is associated with rosacea or eczema. So if you do have one of those skin conditions, whether you have young teenage skin, college skin, or adult acne, this might be something you want to give a try, especially because it's only $4 and you can buy it in the same place you can get your spaghetti. This one does have cyclomethicone, which is what makes it smooth. It's similar to silicone, and it does look like we have a dimethicone vinyl and dimethicone cross polymer in here. But again, I wouldn't be concerned about these. This was a huge challenge and even a wake-up call, because in reality, I've been an acne expert and a skincare blogger for 10 years now, and I've been an acne sufferer for 16 years. And because I'm absorbed with skincare and ingredients and the chemistry and the biochemistry of beauty all the time, sometimes I forget how expensive these things can be. So finding products that fit the budget, but also specifically took care of the unique needs of the stress, the oil, and the hormones that back to school skin is going through, it was a tough one. But if you noticed, we came in at like $49. So we're right under that 50 mark. And of course you can use different moisturizers or choose some different serums to kind of modify what's best for you. I'm grateful to you beautiful butterflies who requested a similar video to this for people on a budget with acne. You know, the viewers of this channel are intelligent, and I love being able to dive into the science of skincare together. It was a pleasure working with Crown to be able to make this and to really find products that from a scientific standpoint work well together. If you want more of my personal acne story, you can watch mine here. And if you kind of liked the skincare science in this video, you can watch more of that here. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already so that you don't miss future acne uploads. Skincare is self-care. So always remember to be beautiful, both inside and out, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.